Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back and it is Tuesday, April 1st, and it is 10:47 p.m. I know I'm getting a very late start, but I'm here. So anyway, I hope you're all doing very well. There is so much news out there and so much weirdness happening that we have a lot to get to. So let's jump into it. Tonight's going to be, it's kind of all just kind of glommed in together because now it's hard to separate the virus from everything else. So it's kind of all in together, but I'm not going to be doing shows based solely on the virus anymore because, well, I have my reasons and I'm sure you know what they are. All right. Anyway, let's jump in here. But first, I want to thank two people. Thank you. Both of these people donated via coffee. And Bolero Boy 723 and Anon, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And of course, all you that have subscribed via Patreon, I really appreciate you guys because I depend on that. It keeps me doing what I do. So anyway, thank you so much. And we're going to just jump right in here. Now, the first thing is something really, really important that you probably haven't heard yet. You may have, but probably not. And it's something extremely interesting. Hang on here. Hopefully I can get it here. There we go. All righty. Now, somebody uploaded this too, so that we could all see this, documentcloud.adobe.com. And let's look at this. It's very, very fascinating. February 26, 2020, it was filed, so not long ago. And Cyrus A. Parsa, the AI organization, 4275 Executive Square, Suite 200, La Jolla, California, 92037. All right. Now, let's come down here. And this may be just a little bit slow starting off, but trust me, it's all good. Now, let's look at this. This is United States District Court, Southern District of California. And it's case number 19CV2407CABAHG. All right. So it's a first amended complaint and demand for trial by judge. Now, the AI organization, Inc., Cyrus A. Parsa, the world's people, victims of persecution, rape, torture, concentration camps, sex, human and organ trafficking, and organ harvesting in China, Hong Kong, America, and around the world, not limited to democracy activists, Falun Dafa practitioners. I'm not sure. I know who these are. They're the Muslims that are in China that are being persecuted, Christians, Tibetans, judges, lawyers, and journalists tortured and killed in China. John Doe's 1 Unlimited. Plaintiffs, those are the plaintiffs. These are all the plaintiffs. And who is it against? Well, you're going to find this interesting. Google, LLC, Barack Hussein Obama, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Hillary Clinton, Eric Schmidt, Nancy Pelosi, John O'Brien, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, James Clapper, Facebook, Inc., DeepMind, Inc., Alphabet, Inc., the World Bank, Neuralink, Inc., Tesla, Inc., Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Sundar Pichai, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, Microsoft, Bill Gates, Sisson PR Newswire, CNN Cable News Network, Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, James Clapper, Washington Post, New York Times, Time Magazine, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Harvard, Adam Schiff, Weiss Institute, DARPA, Qualcomm, George Soros, Soros Fund Management, Open Society Foundation, University of Vermont, Joshua Bongard and Sam Kriegman, Rockefeller Foundation, Huawei, I'm never sure how to pronounce that, Boston Dynamics, Hanson Robotics, Didi Chuxing, Mevel Face, Alibaba, SenseTime, iCarbon X, Festo, Chinese Communist Party, and John Doe's 1 Unlimited defendants. Interesting. Now, what are they trying to charge them with? Well, misuse of artificial intelligence, cybernetics, robotics, biometrics, facial recognition, bioengineering, biotechnology, 5G, 6G, and quantum computing technology, endangering all the world's people. 2, endangering the human race with the misuse of artificial intelligence technology, building AGI and ASI systems. This is very interesting. 3, transfer of AI, bioweapon technology to China, Biological Weapons Anti-Terrorism Act of 1989. 4, 18 U.S. Code of Chapter 115, Treason, Sedition, and Subversive Activities. 5, complicity in genocide, China. 6, violation of Article 1, Genocide Convention. Violation of Article 2, Genocide Convention. Violation of Article 3, Genocide Convention. Violation of Article 4, Genocide Convention. Social engineering of the human race with artificial intelligence. 11, biodigital social programming of the human race by use of their biometrics and artificial intelligence. 12, brainwashing humanity with AI coding and algorithm bias. 13, cultural genocide by misuse of artificial intelligence. 14, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. 15, defamation. 16, negligent infliction of emotional distress. 17, negligent creation of nefarious quantum biotechnology, cybernetically enhanced. Dragonflies, robo-bees, micro-insect drones, and xenobots endangering all the world's people on 5G networks. 18, masking genocide with AI technology. 19, fraud and intentional deceit. 20, negligent misrepresentation. 21, religious discrimination. 22, failure to engage in interactive process. 23, AI censorship and banning. AI, Trump, China, and the weaponization of robotics with 5G and masking artificial intelligence, dangers to humanity with use of artificial intelligence. 24, AI algorithms, misuse and AI algorithm biometric manipulation. 25, breach of privacy. 26, a violation of the Nuremberg Code. 27, creating an artificial intelligence system that can recognize and decode if humans are resistant to artificial intelligence. 28, not informing the public defendants products and services use proximity sensors and other smartphone and IoT patented technologies that connect, manipulate, and reprogram people's thoughts, neural networks, and brain chemistry, connecting to humans' nervous systems and electrical fields. 29, creating and bioengineering nefarious xenobots, technology mixed with stem cells, robotics, and African frog legs. African frog legs bring to life an alien artificial life that can mutate or be programmed to spread disease or kill off the world's citizens in numerous ways. 30, extracting all people's private biometrics for quantum AI superintelligence that endangers all human beings on 5G and 6G networks. 31, preventing Cyrus A. Parsa, the AI organization, from assisting in saving the world's people from AI-based biotech-based dangers from China and big tech per complicity, avoidance of reporting his findings by media for 6 months. So this is very, very interesting. And this is the case summary facts. Now, this is 89 pages long, so obviously I'm not going to read you 89 pages, and I know you all said thank you. But it's very, very interesting, and it appears like it's real. It appears real. It is an actual court case, and it has been filed. It was filed February 26th, not long ago. So, and we're of course only on page 6 of 87. So I'm not going to read this all to you, but it's out there, and I'm going to try to put it in the pinned comment at the top there for you all to see and peruse at your leisure, if you so desire. but this is quite fascinating, if you ask me. Now, I have not read it in its entirety. I've read a good portion of it, but I haven't read it entirely, and I'm planning to do so. So hopefully I can, break it down into some bullet points for us all, although I don't know how I can do it with something this detailed. But yeah, it's interesting. So this is very, very fascinating, and it's just more to add to all the fascinating things that are happening. Now, I do want to address this because invariably somebody is going to say to me, well, didn't you hear this? Yes, I did hear it. If you're talking about the Samaritan's Purse that is in New York City, they are saying that they are treating children, and there is a lady whose, I think, mother works there and is saying that they're bringing on social workers and so forth to work with children, and that these are not COVID-19 patients, but patients that have been rescued from underground tunnels. Now, the reason I'm not talking about that is there is only one person that is saying that, and there's no other verification, and I'm not willing to just trust somebody that says anybody could say that. Anybody could make something up like that. Now, I'm hoping it's true. Don't get me wrong. I really, really want it to be true. So I'm as alert as ever, watching and seeing what else can verify this. Then we had the weird situation with the train being derailed that was trying to run into the Mercy ship that is on the coast of California there. So just a lot of weird things happening. A lot of people saying that there are people being rescued from the tunnels and so forth. And I don't know. I would like to believe that. I really would. But until I see a little bit more corroboration, then I don't know. I can't say that. And I don't want people saying, oh, well, but I heard it on Deception Bytes. She said, oh, no. I'm reporting to you what I've seen and what's out there, but it has not been corroborated. Now, there are lots of circumstantial evidence, and it's made me a little, well, not a little, a lot positive that there is something happening. And that would be good news for everyone. And really, if they were to rescue children from these tunnels, I think it would go a long way in bringing the world together, at least bringing the United States together, because I think we can all agree that seeing a neglected, abused child, I think everyone will rally around that. So anyway, that is where I stand with all that. And we're going to get into the news here. Hang on. So let's go back. And it says, this by Claire from Twitter. Twitter deleted a tweet by Rudy Giuliani about the drug hydrochloroquine and its benefits to treat CV. We are living a totalitarian existence here on Twitter. Truth is determined by them. Facts no longer matter if they don't fit their globalist narrative. Now, we've known that, we've seen that, we've experienced that for, well, it's been a couple of years now. And it doesn't seem to be getting any better. In some ways, it seems to be letting up a tiny little bit. But still, they are, taking down things that don't fit in with the narrative. Like, for some reason, nobody seems to be real positive about hydrochloroquine. I'm sorry, sometimes I trip over my words, forgive me. Anyway, nobody seems positive about that in the media, although I do see that Fox is now touting this as a possible cure and speaking very positively about it. But it seems like all the Democrats, and those of their leaning don't like anybody talking about it, because I think they really do want people to die. I'm getting that impression anyway. I mean, the whole fish tank cleaner story was so absolutely out there and ridiculous. And it turns out this woman is, as we discussed yesterday, mentally ill. She has had domestic abuse charges brought against her by her husband in the past. And she was seeking a divorce. So I think that probably the fish cleaner wasn't because Trump said fish cleaner was a good idea, aquarium cleaner. He never said any such thing. But I think that she did this on purpose, and it worked because her husband died. Anyway, this is from Nancy Pelosi. I know. Now is a great time, and we haven't done one for a while. A collective eye roll. Everybody, it does make you feel better. And it's hard to make me feel better right now because all of everything is closed, and I needed to get my hair, highlighted again. And I did it myself, and now I look like a cheap hoe. So yeah, if anything can make me feel better, like an eye roll, I'm going to do it. Gosh darn it. Anyway, Nancy Pelosi, the Trump admin's expansion of its un-American travel ban is a threat to our security, our values, and the rule of law. Barring more than 350 million people from predominantly African countries from traveling to the U.S., this rule is discrimination disguised as policy. Now, when was that written? That was January 31st. Yeah. So, now she's saying, oh, Trump didn't do enough. And now, by the way, just a heads up, they're going to try and impeach him on this. Yes, they are. They're going at it again. Impeachment 2.0. We knew they weren't going to stop. They don't care if there's a virus that's threatening America. What do they care? The more people that die, the happier they'll be. They just want power. That's it. So now Nancy Pelosi, who, gave him a talking to over his ban, his travel ban, is now saying he didn't do enough. When she was the one that, she's a piece. She's a piece of work. And Chuck Schumer, this is from him, and this was the 5th of February, the premature, but wait a minute, premature travel ban? I thought that he waited too long. They're saying he waited too long. What do you mean premature travel ban? The premature travel ban to and from China by the current administration is just an excuse to further his ongoing war against immigrants. There must be a check and balance on these restrictions. So there's, these two, what do you call them? Curly and Moe. They're now, you wait, they're going to be doing impeachment 2.0. Really. And they're the ones that, it's a premature travel ban. They're the ones that criticized him. But now they say he didn't do enough. Yeah. Why do we pay these people? Really, I'd like to know. What do they do? What has Nancy Pelosi ever done? Look at her district. Seriously. And she's worried about Trump not acting fast enough when the streets in her district are full of feces and needles? Oh, gee, that wouldn't spread the virus, would it? Anyway, let's go on. All righty. Okay. After President... a yawn just about popped right out of my mouth. After President Trump established a CV task force and placed restriction on travel from China, what did Democrats say about the threat? Well, let's listen, shall we? Of course we shall. It's what we do.
For coronavirus is low, and our city preparedness is high.
This should not stop you from going about your life, should not stop you from going to Chinatown and going out to eat. I'm going to do that today myself.
Come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
There is no concern at this time for coronavirus in our region.
The Department of Sanitation is ready for Mardi Gras 2020.
The facts are reassuring.
We want New Yorkers to go about their daily lives.
But there's really no need to panic and to avoid activities that we always do as New Yorkers. We are a hardy people.
Americans do not need to panic. What I would suggest, however, is that Americans take this as a wake-up call for seasonal flu.
There's very little threat here. This disease, even if you were to get it, basically acts like a common cold or flu.
So we're telling New Yorkers, go about your lives, take the subway, go out, enjoy life, and certainly not to miss the parade next Sunday. I'm going to be there.
If you had to, would you close down the borders?
No.
We need to be honest about the American people, with the American people, about the fact that we can't keep people coming here from China.
And transmission is not that easy. I think there's been a misperception that coronavirus hangs in the air waiting to catch you. No, it takes direct person-to-person contact.
We also know that if it were likely to be transmitted casually, we would be seeing a lot more cases.
Right, because this is New York and you're in elevators and trains with everybody all the time.
Yeah, so who was it that didn't take it seriously? Trump? No? Unreal. They were the ones telling everybody, "Oh, come to the parade. Mardi Gras on. In New Orleans. Come to the parade in New York. And there's Pelosi standing very close to each other in Chinatown, saying, "Oh, we're safe. We're fine. Everybody, come on down." And she's blaming Trump. Yes, it's all Trump's fault. Right. I guess Trump's responsible for all the feces on the street in her district as well, and the needles and the homeless. Is he responsible for that too? Anyway, yeah, she'd probably get up and say, a little feces on the street's good for everyone. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back now and let's look at this, or should we? Well, it says it's long, but hey. You know what? I'm here for the duration. All right. Oh, yes. Actually, I am going to skip that one for now. I really am, because it kind of doesn't, I'm going to come back to it, though. Not tonight, but I'm coming back to it. All right. Well, let's look at this. Germany could issue thousands of people CV immunity certificates so they can leave the lockdown early. Interesting. Let's look at this. German researchers want to send out hundreds of thousands of CV antibody tests over the coming weeks. Der Spiegel reported people who test positive for the antibodies could be given an immunity certificate that would allow them to leave their CV lockdown early. Now, remember that immunity certificate, because that's what's going to be happening worldwide, except it's not going to be a immunity certificate. It's going to be a vaccination. And that will tell you whether you've been, that they can scan that and it'll tell them whether or not you have been vaccinated against CV, among other things, and be able to track you. And interestingly enough, I bet you kids that have not been V'd won't get back into school. Or perhaps people that haven't been V'd may not get to work in their place of employment. I don't know, but I'm just seeing this, and I'm seeing it push more and more and more that, oh, this won't be over until there's a V for it. Yeah. Okay. Other countries, including the United Kingdom, are planning mass testing to ease lockdowns. Germans could soon be issued immunity certificates that would allow them to leave the country's CV lockdown earlier than the rest of the population if they test positive for antibodies to the virus. States across Germany are in lockdown with strict quarantines imposed in some parts of the country. However, researchers at the Helmholtz Center for Infection Research in Braunschweig, not sure. I probably really mangled that. Want to send out hundreds of thousands of antibody tests over the coming weeks that could allow people to break free of the lockdowns, Der Spiegel reported on Friday. If the project is approved, the researchers will test 100,000 people at a time starting in early April, Der Spiegel said. The tests are designed to detect whether a person has developed antibodies to the COVID-19 virus, indicating that they were at one time a carrier and may have built up immunity. A positive test could allow the person to leave the lockdown, while many positive tests could allow governments to ease restrictions in areas with herd immunity. Gerard Krauss, the epidemiologist leading the project, told the magazine that people who are immune could be given a type of vaccination card that, for example, allows them to be exempted from restrictions on their work. Germany has one of the lowest COVID-19 death rates in the world, which some experts and commentators have said is a result of the extensive testing rolled out by Chancellor Angela Merkel's government. The United Kingdom has similar plans to roll out antibody testing to loosen its lockdown. Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government has ordered millions of at-home CV testing kits that, if approved for use, could be sent to frontline workers over the coming weeks and sold in pharmacies and through online retailers like Amazon. However, CV testing has so far had mixed success around the world. Spain was recently forced to return tens of thousands of rapid CV tests from a Chinese company after they were found to provide inconsistent results. That's actually not true. Well, yes, they did provide inconsistent results. They were also contaminated with the virus. Thank you, China. Thank you so much. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Yes, and that's not the only place where China has sent tests that were contaminated with the virus itself. Yeah, they don't care. I think they're happy thinking that they can infect more people. Some tests have also reportedly demonstrated false positives, detecting antibodies to other, much more common CVs. Scientists also remain unsure about the extent to which past infection with the virus can prevent reinfection and for how long immunity will remain. However, Dr. Anthony Fauci, a top U.S. expert on infectious diseases, has said he would be willing to bet anything that people who recover are really protected against reinfection. Not true. That is not true. That is an out-and-out lie, because all the doctors in other countries are saying that people can test negative, they can be fine, have no symptoms, and they're released from the hospital only to be reinfected again. So that's not any guarantee that you're not going to get it again. Unless all those other doctors are lying, but Dr. Fauci is telling the truth. I would doubt that. All right. Now, let's go back and go on. This from Donald Trump Jr., and he is responding to the Bradford file. Is it just me, and this is the Bradford file that he is responding to, is it just me, or did Chinese officials refuse to allow international disease specialists to visit Wuhan for weeks during the initial outbreak because they wanted to hide the amount of bodies they were burying? And Donald Trump Jr. says, it's not just you. No, I think we all think that. And I think anybody that's been paying attention knows that the numbers coming out of China are complete poppycock. That's right, I said poppycock. All right, let's look at this right here. All right, now, Tucker on Chinese scientists saying the CV likely came from horseshoe bat. Here is the striking thing. There are no known colonies of this bat within 900 kilometers of Wuhan. The scientists found 2 possible locations for the horseshoe bat, 2 government labs in Wuhan. Right, that's where it came from. Absolutely. Okay, so let's go on. And let's look at this. It's a curious thing. North Korea getting 900,000 to fight CV from WHO, despite claiming they have no cases. Well, how can that be? Why would they need money to fight it if they don't have any cases? I'm just saying. Doesn't make sense to me. Oh, and there is Sammy. It's not your cat. It's not your cat. It's Sammy. And he's wanting some attention. But, you know, isn't that, but it's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful. You would think he'd lost his best friend, and he hasn't. Xander's around here somewhere. And Xander has, I put lipstick on and then I kissed Xander, and that was really not a smart thing to do because now Xander on his white fur has a pair of lips. Yeah, I should take a picture of that. All right. I digress. North Korea may claim it has no CV infections, but the country is still getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from the World Health Organization to contain the deadly virus. Data from the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs shows the WHO will spend $900,000 to support North Korea's efforts to fight COVID-19. North Korea is bothered by China and South Korea, two of the countries that saw some of the worst impacts of COVID-19. North Korea is bordered by China. Well, they might be bothered by China and South Korea. Who knows? Anyway, two of the countries that saw some of the worst impacts of COVID-19 at the start of the global outbreak. The Hermit Kingdom has repeatedly said there hasn't been a single case on its soil and that it is implementing social distancing measures. According to the UN's website, money was allocated on February 27 to the WHO through the UN Central Emergency Response Fund as part of the WHO's early action response to global containment of the deadly virus. Gee, I wonder where that money will go. I mean, since they have no cases. I wonder where that money will go to. Probably into the pocket of the leader. I mean, that's just a guess. All right. The main objective of this project is to provide timely, life-saving health assistance in priority countries in order to contain the global outbreak of COVID-19 virus, the website listing states. News of the allocation was first reported Wednesday by South Korea's Yonhap news agency. So I don't think we're going to go on here, but just interesting because they're saying they don't have any cases. So just wondering why they need that money. I don't know. All right, enough of that. Alrighty, now, this is going to make you hopping mad. Hopping mad. You know, that's the worst kind of mad. All right. Schiff, remember when I was saying that they're going to try Impeachment 2.0? Well, here it is. Schiff drafting legislation to set up 9/11 style commission to review CV response. Yeah, so they're going to waste our money, taxpayer money, again. That's all they do. I think that these people that, you know, set up this, like Pelosi and Schiff and Schumer and, you know, my gosh, you would... Sammy, come here. Come here. I'm so sorry. My cat is, I don't know why he's making that noise. Anyway, and his litter box is clean. What could he possibly be complaining about? He's just eaten. Maybe he didn't like the food. I don't know. Maybe he wants to fire the chef. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I'm you know what I think would be a good idea? I think this would be a really good idea. Schiff and Pelosi and, you know, those of that ilk, like Maxine Waters and, well, you know, the usual band of merry, men and women. I think they should have to, if they set up something like this and nothing is found, they should have to pay for it out of their own pockets. Why is America footing the bill for this when we have a, you know, like an epidemic happening? It's a pandemic happening. So let's listen to, even though I hate to do this to you, I really do, because honestly, I'd rather listen to nails on a chalkboard.
Representative Adam Schiff is drafting legislation that would set up an independent commission that would investigate why the country was unprepared for the coronavirus pandemic. Quote, after Pearl Harbor and 9/11, we looked at what went wrong to learn from our mistakes, the House Intelligence Committee chairman said in a tweet. Once we've recovered, we need a nonpartisan commission to review our response and how we can better prepare for the next pandemic, he continued. Schiff did not give specifics regarding when the legislation will be dropped, but suggested it would be after Congress finishes the task at hand, mulling a series of stimulus packages aimed at alleviating the economic impact of the pandemic.
Yeah, okay, well that's good. I thought we were going to hear from Adam Schiff, and I'm so relieved we didn't. No, really, I am. All right, now, yeah, Representative Adam Schiff is the one with the crazy eyes. What is with those eyes? It's like he's permanently on meth or something. Is drafting legislation that would set up an independent commission that would investigate why the country was unprepared for the CV pandemic. Of course, this is all about Trump. You know it is. No matter what they say, it's about Trump. After Pearl Harbor and 9/11, we looked at what went wrong to learn from our mistakes, the House Intelligence Committee chairman said in a tweet. Once we've recovered, we need a nonpartisan commission to review our response and how we can better prepare for the next pandemic. Yes, I bet he's really concerned about that. Schiff did not give specifics regarding when the legislation will be dropped, but suggest it would be after, you know, the whole stimulus package thing. And we will need to delay the work of the commission until the crisis has abated to ensure that it does not interfere with the agencies that are leading the response, Schiff told the Washington Post, but that should not prevent us from beginning to identify where we got it wrong and how we can be prepared for the next pandemic. And you know why they're doing this? Do you know why? Of course you do. They're trying to ruin Trump's chance in the next election, in the upcoming election. And they're doing it many ways. Also by pushing for legislation for mail-in votes and so forth, because that makes it so much easier for them to cheat, because they can't win on their own. They know that. The administration has come under scrutiny in the past month for what critics call a late response to the virus. Critics have also pointed out that in 2018, the administration disbanded the National Security Council unit focused on pandemic preparedness. You know, here's the thing. If Trump had shut everything down as soon as he heard about it, I mean everything, we would have had less instances in the States, sure. But then they would have said, look how he overreacted to nothing. Nothing. That's exactly how they would have played it, because it doesn't matter what Trump does. It's wrong as far as they're concerned. It wouldn't matter. So anyway, let's get away from Schiff, because I don't even like looking at him. Ugh. There's something really creepy about that guy. I mean, just making your skin crawl creepy. I mean, Biden's creepy, but he's creepy in a dirty old man sort of way. Schiff is creepy at a whole new level, really. Okay, now let's go back, because we can. All right, this by Stephen Lundgren. Authorities find a 2,000-foot smuggling tunnel under U.S.-Mexico border and seize $29 million worth of drugs. Authorities find smuggling tunnel under U.S.-Mexico border, seize $29 million. Federal agents in San Diego, in first day with the new hands. Authorities find smuggling tunnel under, Federal agents in San Diego uncovered an underground smuggling tunnel last week and seized more than $29 million worth of drugs. Now, you know, I think that they're finding stuff like this because I think that that's what is going on right now. I think that they are in these tunnels underground and rescuing people or finding what there is to find, like $29 million worth of drugs. All right, so that's good news. And this, everything has meaning. Democrats have turned the Empire State Building into the evil eye of Sauron. It scans the horizon, making sure that nobody dares to leave their home. Now, that's not what it does, but it is creepy. So, anyway, yeah, that's, when you think about it, that's just not a good way to make New Yorkers feel better about the situation. I'm just saying. All right. And oh, yes. Now, I meant to bring this yesterday, but I didn't have time. But today, I'll bring it to you. Remember the young woman who died while waiting for a CV test in New Orleans? Yeah, well, now the truth is out. Yeah. Last week, the liberal media ran screaming headlines after a 39-year-old Natasha Ott was found dead on her kitchen floor while waiting for her CV test results. Rest in peace, Natasha. Of course, the left ran with the story as a way to whip up panic and attack the Trump administration. Well, what's new? And it says, I hope Trump, Pence, and co. are abreast. They told her she may not need the test, according to Los Angeles Times and multiple media reports. A 39-year-old Natasha Ott of New Orleans, a health worker, died having waited for others before testing and while her test result was on the way. New Orleans woman 39 dies while awaiting CV test results. Natasha Ott of New Orleans was found dead on her kitchen floor Friday by her longtime partner, Josh Anderson, while she was still awaiting her COVID-19 test results. But it was not true. What? You mean the media lied? No. That means they might have lied about other things. No, it can't be. Can't be. Anyway, second coronavirus test came back negative on Natasha Ott. The media reported incorrectly that she died of COVID-19 while waiting for her test results. Furthermore, it was not revealed that she was in fact suffering for the last 2 years from an undiagnosed intestinal condition, but her boyfriend lied and says she was perfectly healthy. She was a Peace Corps alumni, the Sun Herald reported. The exact reason the woman, Natasha Ott, dies remains under investigation by the coroner's office. Spokesman Jason Melancon said such investigations can take several weeks to complete. Ott's death drew public notice when her boyfriend, Josh Anderson, wrote in a widely shared social media post that he had found her dead March 20th in her kitchen. Anderson recounted that an ailing Ott, after testing negative for the flu, had been tested for COVID-19, the potentially deadly respiratory disease caused by the virus, but died before getting the results back. So will any of the liberal news outlets correct their lies? Yeah, right. Yeah. I guess they'll probably correct their lies when Nancy Pelosi apologizes to President Trump, like never. All right. There's the rest of the story. All right, let's go back. No, really. Oh, and look at this. Bill Gates tells Trump, stop stoking CV miracle cure rumors. Well, hydrochloroquine isn't a miracle cure rumor. There are many doctors using it successfully to treat patients. And it is a FDA approved drug and has been for many, many, many years. Bill Gates has helpfully provided President Donald Trump with a 3-step plan on what he needs to do to halt the CV pandemic and has told him that he really needs to stop spreading rumors about a miracle cure. The Microsoft founder, who urged leaders to prepare for a pandemic back in 2015, laid out his advice in the Washington Post. He said the U.S. needs a complete shutdown in all states, must step up testing, and has to start work now to speed up the development of a vaccine. Gee, why would he want the vaccine sped up? Why would he want that? Yeah, we all know that. Gates said that includes immediately beginning to work to build the facilities where a vaccine could be manufactured. He also criticized Trump for spreading rumors about malaria medication that the president has repeatedly name-checked as a CV treatment. Gates wrote, "Leaders can help by not stoking rumors or panic buying. Long before the drug hydroxychloroquine was approved as an emergency treatment for COVID-19, people started hoarding it, making it hard to find for lupus patients who need it to survive." I don't believe that. Why would they hoard medicine that you need a prescription to get? Does that make any sense to anybody except Bill Gates, who's quite possibly the most, one of the most evil men, and quite responsible for genocide. Yeah, if you don't mind, Bill Gates, I think I'll trust Trump. Yeah, I trust him way more than you. All right. Let's continue now, shall we? Of course we shall. Now, why shouldn't we trust Bill Gates? Well, this could be a good reason right here. George Soros and Bill Gates partner with China on CV drug. Yeah, that's right. February 11th, 2020. As drug manufacturers speed up their efforts to find a new treatment drug for the CV outbreak that has devastated China and has caused a worldwide panic, a Chinese drug company just announced that it has started mass producing an experimental drug from Gilead Sciences that has the potential to fight the novel coronavirus. BrightGene Biomedical Technology, a Suzhou-based company, just announced that it had developed the technology to synthesize the active pharmaceutical ingredients of remdesivir, the drug developed by Gilead Biosciences. Its stock prices surged 20% in Tuesday morning trading in Shanghai, while BrightGene said that it intends to license the drug from Gilead. Its move to start manufacturing at this early stage is highly unusual and a potential infringement of the American company's intellectual property. This comes a week after Chinese researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology filed an application to patent Gilead's drug remdesivir to treat CV, a bid that would give China leverage over the global use of the therapy to fight the outbreak. Oh, that's what we need, isn't it? For China to be in charge of the cure. Cause the disease, then make billions and billions off the cure. That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, the decision to seek a patent instead of invoking compulsory license option that lets nations override drug patents in national emergencies signals China's commitment toward intellectual property rights. The timing is uncanny, right? Gilead will retain the global rights to market the antiviral medication once approved. Gilead has also announced that it is partnering with the Chinese health authorities on the clinical trials of remdesivir as a treatment for CV. The drug was originally developed in 2016 by Gilead as a treatment for the Ebola virus. Many have argued that China stole the patent from Gilead due to a technicality, but you would soon see that this is indeed not the case. So, yeah, they are partnering with China on this drug. So, yeah, I'm sure it's all in our best interest, of course. Now, let's look at this. It's about Pelosi, the one that thinks Trump didn't do enough. Well, she sure jumped to it. Let's look at this. After congressional CV meetings, Pelosi bought $5 million in Amazon stock before U.S. retailers were forced to close. Isn't that like, I don't know, insider trading? And she already made millions. Yeah. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and her husband are cashing in already on $5 million worth of Amazon stock purchased during the time frame that closed-door CV meetings were being conducted in Congress. As of Tuesday morning, the Pelosi stock purchase had already earned the couple $1.1 million in less than 10 weeks. The Amazon share price climbed The Amazon share price climbed close to $2,000 on Tuesday. Paul Pelosi, the speaker's husband, got in at a price of $1,600 per share and grabbed 3,000 shares on January 17th, according to the financial disclosure filings. Yeah, that was her concern. Not protecting the people of her constituents or anything like that. No, it was like, oh, gee, I could make more money. I mean, my gosh, she's 80 years old. How much money does she need? She certainly doesn't care about her job. She just cares about bilking everyone. Anyway, that's like a quick $2 million in profit. Where is William Barr? Paging AG Barr. The story is developing, and that's by Thomas Paine. So I do tend to trust it. Yeah, she's a great person, isn't she? Yeah, they're meeting in private, and then, you know, she finds out that they may be shutting down retailers, so she invests in Amazon. Not good, Pelosi. You're just a paragon of virtue, aren't you? I don't know in what world, but not in this one. Okay. Now, let's look at this. I find this interesting. And you will too, I bet. The Naval War College ran a pandemic war game in 2019. The conclusions were eerie. Yeah, an infectious disease breaks out in a densely populated metropolis and is spreading rapidly, causing respiratory failure and death in its victims. As local containment and response mechanisms break down and cases multiply, it becomes clear that a global response spanning governments, humanitarian organizations, health agencies, and the military will be required. That scenario is not a condensed narrative of the COVID-19 pandemic that currently has much of the globe on lockdown. Rather, it's the premise of a war game run last September by the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, and its findings, released in summary format Wednesday, reveal prescient and sometimes troubling parallels to the real-world response effort that continues today. Called Urban Outbreak 2019, the war game involved 50 experts who spent 2 days coordinating response, containment, and messaging efforts around the notional pandemic. Some of the conclusions, such as the way forced mass quarantine can backfire and trigger additional disease spread, and how the mortality rate is better than the overall number of disease cases is in assessing the scale of an outbreak, have been proved out through the response to the novel CV. Other insights specific to the military response also hit home. Even in the planning phase, the military and government may, consciously or unconsciously, exhibit avoidance behavior to limit the scope of their involvement with infected and or infected populations in the field, one of 16 conclusions in the 12-page summary document notes. Another conclusion assesses the tendency of experienced professionals to meet unusual or unprecedented conditions in the scenario with resistance. This can directly inhibit effective planning and adaptation, it adds. Benjamin Davies, the game's designer and the associate director of research for NWC's Civilian Military Humanitarian Response Program, said that for the mid-grade and senior officers participating in the game, one challenge came down to a recurring theme for the military, a tendency to fight the last war instead of the current one. In this case, there may have been a fairly significant hangover from the Ebola response, Davies said, referring to the deadly outbreak of the virus between 2014 and 2016 in West Africa. Davies, who spoke to military.com on his own behalf, and not to present an official position of the college, Navy, or Defense Department, added that during the Ebola outbreak, which resulted in more than 13,000 deaths, the U.S. military was not supposed to provide direct aid to infected populations. When players got in the game, they were really stuck on that guidance, he said. Another possible holdover from the experience supporting the Ebola response was a hesitancy to game out scenarios in which troops had direct contact with infected populations or regions, he said. In a lot of different ways, either passively or actively, the military players ended up gravitating towards higher level discussions that didn't put them on the ground or didn't put the troops in harm's way, Davies said. It's very hard to separate avoiding the population that's infected from protecting your own troops. Also of note, according to the summary document prepared by Davies, is the resistance from game participants, including some in the military, to including game elements that didn't correspond to their prior experience. That included the notional disease itself. The original pathogen proposed for the game had an RO, rate of transmission, or R0 rather, rate of transmission closer to COVID-19 virus, exhibited itself with cold and flu-like symptoms, sound familiar, and required long-term intensive medical care for a small portion of the population, the document states. The learning opportunity lost by failing to use the original pathogen proposed is now obvious. Instead, the game focused on a known and curable bacterial pathogen. So the original pathogen that they wanted for the game was very, very similar to COVID-19, but they decided to go with a known and curable bacterial pathogen. So anyway, I just find this very, very interesting that they did this. So, and it's a very long article, but it says NWC, he said, has a network of experts ready to support current disease response efforts and a library of research and reports available to decision makers. This is a challenge that requires everyone to look to the experts in every field because no one organization is going to have the monopoly on life-saving solutions, he said. I just find that a little bit coincidental that they had this back in 2019 based on a pandemic. And then they had the, what was it called? Something 200 event. Was it Event 200 or Event 201? Which simulated the same thing that we're experiencing now. I find that coincidental. Or not so coincidental. All right. Now, and China has put the entire, one county, not the entire country, but one county is in lockdown after new corona cluster emerges. We're running out of time, so I'm not going to delve into that. And the one press briefing that I missed, and they talk about the massive military war on drugs. So I think we probably need to go to this because this is important. If you missed it, and you probably didn't, I think most people are at home these days, unfortunately. Or fortunately for some. I'm sure some of you probably needed a little break, but this isn't the way to get it. Anyway, Trump launches massive all-out military offensive on drug cartels. Interesting. President Donald Trump announced on Wednesday that the administration was launching an all-out assault on Mexican drug cartels using them. It is Wednesday. You know what? I said it was Tuesday, April 1st, and I was wrong. Well, that was my April Fool's joke. Yeah, let's go with that. Anyway, as governments and nations focus on CV, there is a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain. Who? You mean like maybe Pelosi? Gee, it's not just the cartels. It's people in our own government. Anyway, for their own gain, and we must not let that happen. Trump said, "We will never let that happen." Today, the United States is launching enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people from the deadly scourge of illegal narcotics. It's interesting. I'm wondering if this is more of a cover for the other ongoing situation, but perhaps they need to get to the drug cartels so that they stop, because it's not just drugs that they're, trafficking. All right. We must not let the drug cartels exploit the pandemic to threaten American lives. Trump continued. In cooperation with the 22 partner nations, the U.S. Southern Command will increase surveillance, disruption, and seizures of drug shipments and provide additional support for eradication efforts that are going on right now at a record pace. We are deploying additional Navy destroyers, combat ships, aircraft, and helicopters, Coast Guard cutters, and Air Force surveillance aircraft, doubling the capabilities in the region, Trump continued. Very important, our forces are fully equipped with personal protective equipment, and we have taken additional safety measures to ensure that our troops remain healthy. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper said today, at the President's direction, the Department of Defense, in close cooperation with our interagency partners, began enhanced narcotics separations in Eastern Pacific Oceans and the Caribbean Sea. To conduct the enhanced operations, the President has directed deployment of ships, aircraft, and security forces to the United States Southern Command area of responsibility. Esper continued, included in this force package are Navy destroyers and littoral combat ships, Coast Guard cutters, P-8 control aircraft, and elements of an Army Security Force Assistance Brigade. The additional forces will nearly double our capacity to conduct counter-narcotics operations in the region. So, what do you guys think about this? I think it's good. Obviously, it's good, but there's so much going on behind the scenes that we're just not privy to. And that's okay. I mean, I know that they can't tell us everything that they're doing, but I just find it all very fascinating. The DEA reported in its most recent threat assessment guide that Mexican drug cartels remained by far the greatest criminal threat to the U.S. Mexican TCOs remain the greatest criminal drug threat to the United States. No other group are currently positioned to challenge them, the DEA stated. The Sinaloa cartel maintains the most expansive footprint in the United States, while the Jalisco New Generation cartel has become the second most dominant domestic presence over the past few years. The DEA added, although drug-related murders in Mexico continue to reach epidemic proportions, U.S.-based Mexico TCO members still generally refrain from domestic intercartel conflicts, resulting in minimal spillover violence in the United States. The DEO noted that Colombian TCOs have a heavy but indirect influence on U.S. drug markets because they supply cocaine to the Mexican cartels, who then move it to the United States. Mexican cartels are responsible for the overwhelming majority of illicit drugs that are present in the U.S., including cocaine, meth, fentanyl, heroin, and marijuana. The report added DEA reporting continues to indicate the Sinaloa and CJNG cartels are likely the primary trafficking groups responsible for smuggling fentanyl into the United States from Mexico. So, I'm not sure what to think about this. I know that, it's a good thing. We need to go to war with the cartels, but I don't know. My hands are so itchy from using Purell constantly. I don't know about you guys, but all right. I guess that's the very least of my worries. All right, let's come back here. Now, this is very interesting. More than 1,100 New York City police officers have the virus as 911 calls hit record highs. Wow, 1,100 New York City police officers have it. And I can imagine that 911 calls are at a record high because not only do you have medical crisis, but you've also got people that are in close proximity, and some families don't get along so well. You probably know a few families like that. You know, they're together for more than 5 minutes, they're arguing, and sometimes it can get violent, especially if alcohol is involved. So, yeah, not good news. And breaking news, this is about that derailed train. I don't have too many particulars about it, but I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it in the next few days. Breaking news, man intentionally derailed train at high speed in attempt to crash into hospital ship Mercy at LA port. Why would somebody do that? This is a very, very, very odd story. So I don't know, but I'm going to be watching the news for it because it's just odd. It's out there. All right. And Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte tells police military is to shoot unruly quarantine violators hours after a protest demanding food aid. So now protesters will be shot on sight. That's a wonderful way for him to handle it, I'm sure. All right. Yeah, you know what? Ooh, I'm running out of time. I've got a whole other show here I could do. Let's see. Let me show you this because I think this is pretty interesting. And you can't stop it from being interesting. Well, you might. I don't know. Ivanka Trump, stay strong. Things will get better. She sent that at 8:28 a.m. We know that right now they are sending signals and so forth, and this is how they communicate. I mean, we've learned that from Q. So if you go 8:28 a.m. and then you go to 8:28 Q post, you've got this: stay together, be strong. So I don't know. Sometimes these things, they tend to, I mean, sometimes I feel like people can make something of anything, but I mean, she did use stay strong, and here it's be strong. So I don't know, but you guys can decide for yourselves. All right, and gosh, there's so much more here, and it's already so late. Okay, well, you know what? I am going to leave it there for now. Oh, there's one more thing I really want to get to because I saw this and I found it very hard to believe. Rikers Island prisoners are being offered personal protective equipment and $6 an hour to dig mass graves. That from The Intercept. This was from yesterday. New York City is offering prisoners at Riker Island Jail $6 per hour, a fortune by prison labor standards, and personal protective equipment if they agree to help dig mass graves on Hart Island, according to sources with knowledge of the offer. Avery Cohen, a spokesperson for the office of Mayor Bill de Blasio, confirmed the general arrangement, but said that it was not COVID specific. Okay. Noting that prisoners have been digging graves on Hart Island for years. Okay. The offer is only being made to those with convictions, not those jailed before trial, as is generally the case. A memo sent to prisoners, according to a source who reviewed it, does not specify what the work on Hart Island will be, but the reference to PPE leaves little doubt. The offer comes as New York City continues to be the epicenter of the CV pandemic in the United States, with 38,000 people infected and more than 914 dead so far. Now, okay. Now, this Avery Cohen, a spokesman for the office of Mayor Bill de Blasio, said that, it's not COVID specific because, prisoners have been digging graves on Hart Island for years. Yeah, but have they done so while wearing personal protective equipment? To me, that would signify that what they're burying is, could transmit disease. I'm just putting that out there. I mean, call me crazy, but seems a little bit odd to me. New York City owns and operates a public cemetery on Hart Island, which has long been maintained by prison labor. The island was identified as a potential resting place for a surge of bodies in the event of a pandemic by a 2008 report put together by the New York City Office of Chief Medical Examiner. Oh, well, isn't that interesting? So it was already designated as a place for a surge of bodies. And didn't the government order 100,000 body bags? Somebody reported on that somewhere today. I'm going to have to try and find that. Hart Island, though, has limited burial space, the report noted, and may not be able to accommodate a large influx of descendants requiring burial, which the preparedness plan estimated at between 50,000 and 200,000 in a pandemic with a mortality rate of 2%, in which 25 to 35% of the population is infected. The city document proposed employing the Department of Defense's temporary mass internment method, which places caskets 10 in a row, head to foot, so as not to stack them on top of each other. Hart Island is located off City Island in the Bronx. In 2008, Rikers prisoners were burying roughly 20 to 25 bodies per week there, the report found. Prisoners may be safer in the fresh air of Hart Island digging mass graves while wearing PPE than sitting back in the unfolding human rights catastrophe that is Rikers, an overcrowded cesspool that has become widely infected with CV. Prisoners who are involved in burials are routinely provided with PPE, Cohen said. Oh, yeah, sure they are. Sure they are. Justine Olderman, executive director of Bronx Defenders, a public defender organization, recently described the conditions at Rikers to The Intercept. You have a situation where all the protocols that are coming out of the Centers for Disease Control cannot be enacted. There are broken sinks. There's no hand sanitizer. People don't have access to soap. And at a time we're being asked to do social distancing, you have an environment where people are sleeping 100 to a room. 100 to a room? Wow. City and state officials have badly mishandled the response to the pandemic at the jail, which houses roughly 4,600 people and has an infection rate of 3.6%, according to data compiled by the Legal Aid Society. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo recently said he would put state prisoners to work making hand sanitizer, though it was later reported that they are bottling and labeling hand sanitizer made by an outside vendor, not making it themselves. So there you go. That's disturbing. If you ask me, that's disturbing. Very, very disturbing. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to leave it there for now. And I am working on part 2 of iPet Goat 2. So I will have that in the next few days. And I guess that's it. I'll be working on that, and as well any news and information and anything interesting that comes up, because there's always something every day now. So that is it for tonight. Thank you guys for listening. You're very patient, and I'll be back. Me and my horrific hair will be back. Yes, it will. Don't hate me because of my hair. All right. That's it. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. I hope.